Hey guys, welcome back. And if you haven't watched before, my name's Hayden. And today I'm just going to do a bit of a walk through, rundowny thing, whatever you want to call it, to my 2005 Toyota Hilux. Enjoy. So I was thinking about it the other day. I think I've owned this car for about 9 years now. It's actually my second car. First car I ever had was an LN106. Actually bought for $1,000. It was had a blown engine, and yeah, me and the old boy, we put a cylinder head on it, and turboed it, and yada yada yada, and ended up making good money on it, which went towards this. So got to buy the thing outright, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so I think I've had it for about 9 years now. It still presents pretty well. It's got 350,000 Ks on it now. Most of those were country Ks when I bought it. Pretty sure I bought it with 180,000, and so it's sort of a lot of country Ks, but hasn't missed a beat. Like I'd easily and confidently turn the key and drive anywhere in Australia tomorrow if I had to. Yeah, been a really reliable car, and really only has, I think it's only let me down once. It actually blew a head gasket. I have no idea why. Yeah, I really can't think of why. Oh! Oh, whoa! Holy shit. Oh, okay. Yeah, no. I think I know why. So I guess we'll start at the front. Just a standard ARB. I'm pretty sure it's a commercial bull bar. I'm not actually sure. Actually, no. Sorry, it's a deluxe bull bar because it's got these spotties or whatever in it. It's been a good bar. I've had to chop and change a few things. I've actually, to clear the larger tyres, had to hack out the wings here and get some infill plates to suit. Just did that all myself, just in the workshop. Spray paint it with just paint out of a spray can, and it ended up being pretty mint. Can't even really tell I've been there and mucked around with it. Also had to trim these plates up too, and this wing dropped down about here, and the tyre just fouled out on it. When it travelled up on up travel, we got that sorted now. So heaps of room in there now for that tyre on both sides. You can fit 35s. At the moment I'm just running 33s. Set of spotties, aftermarket grill, nothing super interesting there. So tyres, I've gone with a Yokohama Mud Terrain, the GE Landers. If I was comparing them to like a Nitto, like a trail grappler, I reckon I'd go the Nitto any day. These just seem a bit hard. They've quite a stiff tread block. They don't have much flex in them. I find I've got to let them down to like about sort of 14, 15 PSI on the rocks to even get them to hook up. Rims, they're a Moto metal, that's the brand. I'm honestly not sure what style they are, but they're a 17x9, neg 13. They seem to fill the guards out nice. Bit of rock rash on them and bits and pieces, but they weren't a super expensive rim, so I'm not gonna, don't get too upset when they get thrashed up against rocks and bits and pieces when I'm going out wheeling. I ran a zero offset on it for years. Didn't really like it. Went to a neg 13. Super happy with how it sits now, and the tyres and rims don't hit on anything. Heaps of room. So suspension wise, it's just a 2-inch suspension lift, 2-inch body lift, just standard sort of IFS. I got a Bilstein Platinum front strut, set at 2 inches of a lift. They're super comfy, really happy with them. I've just recently put Super Pro lower control arms in. The lower arm bushes were pretty worn out, and yeah, threw these in it. They were super easy to fit. Come with new bolts and new adjusters, and yeah, pretty happy with them so far. They ride nice. Upper control arm, Calif Road. Got that through Phat Bars as well. Yeah, couldn't really recommend Paul any higher. He's an absolute legend in their team there. Really knows what they're doing. I got the coils, struts, and the upper control arms through him. They're really good company to deal with. It's got a Phat Bars diff drop kit, I think over here. Just see the logo. It's awesome, keeps everything nice and flat. Never done a CV, fair bit of wheeling. Not stupid hard, but enough sort of bunny hop on in silly situations. It would usually blow a CV up. Underbody protection is by Phat Bars as well. As you can see, this front bash plate has copped a hiding over the years. I probably had it on there for maybe 3-4 years. Honestly, couldn't tell you now, but yeah, it's been super strong. Had a really good run with it. Hit things stupid hard to the point where I've actually I actually hit things that hard I bit my tongue, and yeah, not even a dent in it. Not a dent. The only other thing on the front end here, out of the ordinary, obviously the sway bar's gone. Took it out, only took 15 minutes to get rid of it, and it hasn't been back in the car since. The only time I actually put it back in the video was to put it back in the car was to do a bit of a video comparison, just to see like what it was before and what it was after. And the difference on the road, with the Canopy, there's a fair bit of difference on the road. With the Canopy off, I'll be honest, you can't really notice it, drivability wise, but off-road, huge difference off-road. The amount of wheel lift you get with the sway bar in there and how uncomfortable it is. Like the cab rocks around and throws you around the cab, because it's just the front wheels just don't want to go up and down independently of each other. Done a body mount chop. The first time I'd done it, I was just running 285s, so I managed to actually slice a bit of a pizza wedge out of the original mount, hammer it back in and weld it up, so you couldn't even tell that it was tampered with. Then I went to go run 35s, and obviously it wasn't going to clear, so I had to buy this plate. I'm pretty sure it was from PSR. Basically, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's from PSR. Cut it out a fair bit more, and then yeah, welded it in, and yeah, now it clears 35s, which is pretty sick. But I'm only running 33s at the moment for this ute. For touring, 35s are a bit overkill. 2-inch body lift, nothing exciting there. Just poly block things and some longer bolts. And I actually body lifted the tray just 1 inch as well, because it looked a little bit funny. The tray was so low and the cab was quite high, so I body lift that just 1 inch. I didn't want to go 2, because trying to keep the center of gravity down low. And it just gave me enough room to clear these tires with these guards and the bump stop setup, so it all works quite well. Managed to make the original mud flaps still fit, the original Toyota ones. See, heaps of people just take them off, just play with them a little bit, heat them up, cut them out. They fit, they work in the end. Save stone chips and things up your doors, but I worked it out a little bit too late. There's a fair few stone chips on it, but that was before I put sliders on it and things. But yeah, if you can make it fit, give it a crack. It's worth doing to save your paint. So for brakes, I got some DBA upgraded rotors, just the slotted ones. I'm pretty sure they're DBA 2s. Obviously Bendix pads as well. Braided lines, front and rear. That helped a fair bit to help it pull up. Just improved pedal feel substantially, I reckon. Rock sliders, they're Dominate 4x4. I just found them online. Early days when I bought the Lux. They were good, they were strong enough, but I actually had to cut them off their mounts and raise it 2 inches because I body lifted the car. This mount used to be down there, so I actually cut it off with the grinder and welded it back on. It was actually one of the first welding jobs I ever did, and they haven't snapped off yet, so must have done something right. To prepare for a Cape York trip, and actually welded this plate on top here just to stop stone chips for that trip. They worked really well. Then later date, I eventually got these brush bars made up by a local fabricator. And super stoked with how they turned out. They've saved the flares many times over. Actually flares, they're 60mm Ute Mart flares that I got online. They didn't have the right colour, so I just bought matte black ones and got them painted. They turned out mint. Super happy with how they sit on the car. Pretty easy to put on too, really easy to fit. They're just a good, strong flare, basically. One thing that I actually recommend, when I first bought the car, that was one of its first mods actually, had a really thin aerial on it, and when we done Cape York, the thing actually snapped in half, like clean in half. We're going around the corrugations and it's like, we're just fruiting out, and then it actually snapped clean in half to the point where it broke, and it's on my bonnet doing like little squigglies and stuff down the road. So I'd recommend, if you're going to do anything serious, get yourself a decent aerial. Winch is just a Supercenter winch. I haven't had a drama with it. It's actually the second winch that's been in it. So the first winch was a Supercenter one. I can't remember what happened to it. I think it filled up with water and it died. So I went to another Supercenter winch because you can't argue with the price. And this thing's been in here for probably maybe 5 years now, and I haven't had a drama with it. I probably only used it maybe 10 just over 10 times in that time. Done some pretty heavy recoveries with it, and yeah, hasn't missed a beat, no dramas at all. The only issue I've ever had with it is when I forget the controller is in my other seat covers, which is in the garage at home, and I need to use the winch. That's the only problem I've ever had with it. We'll go do a bit of interior stuff. That's super interesting in here. Actually, before we go inside, these little mirror space things off a workmate. I stole them off our work ute at work. They're sick. They help me see past the canopy. If you can find a set of those, get them. They're really expensive and really hard to find, but they're good. Set of mud floor mat things, set of seat covers. What I have done, cut a set of 6x9s just into this back storagey shelfy thing, whatever you call it, because the speakers up in here where they mount into the body, there's only 3 mounts, and the speaker flaps around and makes weird distorted sounds. So these actually aren't hooked up, just got these 6x9s hooked up instead. Amplifier sitting there underneath the seat, fully hectic subwoofer over there for the beats. This little fridge, oh, highly recommend these. They're awesome for road trips. Fit a heap of cans in there, or Powerades, waters, whatever. Stick some nani bread in there from the servo, because everyone likes nani bread, and just keeps everything nice and cool. And like, I've had it running for like a whole day in the car. Get back into it, car's stinking hot, drinks are cold. Like, yeah, super handy. I got one of those in the LN too behind the seat, so technically it's a tourer now. Why I had to park so high. I usually sit over this side. Interior, what else we got? Oh, roof console. So handy. Put your maps and things in there. Fuzzy beanie that gets caught and won't shut properly. Spots for heaps of cables and stuff that you don't ever really use, but when you need it, it's there. It's good. Lights, nothing interesting. Radio's up there. Actually, that's one thing I like. The radio's up there. It's not down here in my way. Like, I'm not bumping it with my knee. The LN106, I mounted the radio like where my knee is, and every time I get in and out the car, I've got to watch it because I'll smash my knee into it and really knock the knob off the radio. It's a bit annoying actually. So yeah, roof consoles, super handy. The only issue with it, the first probably about a year of owning this car, every second time I get into it, smack your head on the roof console. It was something I had to get used to. And everyone who jumps in the passenger seat, it's hilarious. They always hit their head on there. Good times. Head unit, just a Sony Explode thing from Super Cheap or Repco or J-Car or Autobahn. I don't know where I got it from. It works, it's good. Happy with that. It's an SR5, so it actually has all the fancy stuff. It's got info, what do you got? Yeah, fuel readouts and averages and times and ranges and all sorts of cool things that don't really interest you, but it's all there. Switches and things, so I've got reverse lights. There's a little light bar underneath the tray. This here, it's not actually a work light. It's actually, because these SR5s, they have like a diff disconnect device, so when you put it in two-wheel drive, it actually moves a little tag over in the diff, which disconnects the CV, so your front tail shaft and your front diff center actually isn't spinning, which is meant to save your fuel and make it quieter in the cab and yada yada yada. So I've actually tapped into that button, so every time you go into four-wheel drive, like you select four-wheel drive, it'll actually lock this collar in, so your front diff is spinning, so you're in four-wheel drive. With disconnecting the circuit, I'm actually allowed to disconnect one of the front wheels, which technically allows a diff center to spin freely, like it's got an open center, but not putting drive to one wheel. So long story short, it's actually two-wheel drive low range, which is super handy for reversing trailers up and down boat ramps and getting up driveways, bits and pieces. Reverse camera, I got it on a switch here, just as handy for basically towing. It was a bit annoying having to put it in reverse to see your trailer so I can cruise along the highway. Bang, reverse camera's on, make sure the trailer's still there. Happy days. Work lights, which are just some little light bars that are on top of the roll bar there, all pretty simple. Rear locker, got some bling bling from eBay around the instruments here. Just a bit of chrome. It's actually really annoying every time the sun shines on it. It shines in your eyes. Hectic gear knob. That was out of my first car actually, so it's a bit of sentimental value, that one. Coming out of the first LN106 I ever had. And actually, there's one more thing got to get around the other side for. It's better. I actually put one of these things in. I was super skeptical on the whole iDrive thing, but it actually changes the way the pedal feels. It almost makes it, for lack of better words, makes it less squishy and less spongy. Like, it makes the pedal and the accelerator feel right there. Instead of having to put the pedal down, oh, there we go, we're starting to move, it's just instant and it's right there. There's heaps of different settings to play around with it. I just leave it on U1, which is Ultimate 1 or something. It's, yeah, highly recommended, eh? It's a really good bit of gear. So rear suspension, I've got some Holden Colorado rear leaves that have reset in the press. I'll actually add the video link there. If it's there, I've worked out how to do it. Get plenty of travel out of it, way more than standard. Super happy with that. 80 series bump stop, because the stock ones are quite hard. At least that one's a bit soft. I've actually cut one of the little knobs off there just to get a little bit more up travel out of it. Running Bilstein shocks. Shackles, just 200mm eye to eyes. They work really well too. It's pretty straightforward. Got a jerry can rack here just off a trailer, mounted there, just a bit of spare fuel. I always carry spare fuel in the car, and it's handy for starting fires and things if we go camping and there's a bit of wet timber around. Light bar under the tray, all it really does is light up the back of my number plate. It's mounted in a stupid spot, but it's there. Under tray toolboxes, just full of stuff. They're really handy. Got a tap here, which is handy as well. There's a 80-litre water tank I've mounted there, just under the tray. One of the best things I've ever done, just for washing feet, cleaning dishes, washing things down. There's actually a pump inside the canopy. So differential wise, it's twin locked. What I did, these Hiluxes, the V6 versions, they come out with 3.58 diff gears, which is quite a tall ratio. And I put 265s on it when I first owned it, which was a 32. And even then the gearing was still too tall off road. Like, wheel speed is great, but anything sort of crawly and slow was a real struggle, especially with this V6 engine. It's not a torque monster, to say the least. It makes all its power sort of above 2 grand, and there's really nothing happening before that. So I done a bit of research and found out that you can get a 4.1 diff center out of a 2.7 Workmate. Put that in the rear. In the front, it was out of a 120 series Parado, the 4.1 diff center. So now it's got 4.1 gears. Made a huge difference off-road and driving on road as well. Inside those differentials, in the front, I got a locker, one of those auto lockers. It's been pretty good. I haven't had a drama with it. If I was to get another one, I don't know, I just prefer selectables, because some tracks, funny enough, you actually want to make them harder. With this thing having the front always locked, you go up tracks and it almost takes the fun out of some tracks, because you can just drive straight up it. And then obviously if it gets really hairy, you can flick the rear in, but I wouldn't actually mind driving a few tracks unlocked just to see how far I could go, and sort of challenging myself a little bit. So it's great, don't get me wrong, but I would like to have a selectable in it just for that reason, to actually make some tracks a little bit harder. I'll go down to the rear. The rear's just got a Harrop, one of those e-lockers in it. I'll back it down from where it is, get on the flat, and I'll show you the engine bay, see what lives in there. So the engine's the 4-litre V6 Petrol. Yeah, it's been an awesome motor. The engine's actually stock. I haven't really done anything to it besides service it. I put a set of exhausts on it. It's got Beaudesert headers on there at the moment. They're great. I really recommend those. I ran pacemaker headers for a number of years. I ran 2 sets on it, and both sets cracked in the exact same spot. So I was a bit off that, so I actually went to these headers. They're more of a long tube design. I think they handle the heat a little bit better. Haven't had an issue with those since. So those Beaudesert headers basically go down into some 2 high flow cats, which go into a Y, which go into a hot dog, which go into the muffler. It's got a pretty good note to it. I've been running that setup for probably about 6 months now. Previously to that, I didn't have the hot dog in there, and I had a different set of catalytic converters and a different set of headers. That all had to change when I changed to these long tube headers. But overall, it's been a really good motor. It's had a pretty cruisy life. Like, most of the time, it's just been driven around pretty placidly. Other times, it's been fed the berries when it needs to. One thing I like about this motor is it's not hard to get wheel speed. If you're trying to get up a sandy hill or through some mud or whatever, and you just need wheel speed fast, you can get it. It's not like a diesel where you got to keep shifting gears, and every time you shift gears, you're out of the power again. This thing, you just nail the foot down and you just watch the revs climb, and you get to wherever you want to go. It's been really good. It's the type of car that if we're doing beach trips and things, this is the car that tows the trailer, because it can just keep pulling and pulling and pulling. And it works really well. Fuel consumption wise, I get about about 450 to 500 without a canopy on it. And I get about 400 to 450 with the canopy on it. Obviously it's not it's not brilliant. That's out of a 75 litre tank. But at the end of the day, I didn't have to spend $2,000 on a turbo, $1,000 on the intercooler. I didn't have to get it dynoed. I didn't have to run gauges and be paranoid that thing's going to blow up every time I nail it for more than 30 seconds. Servicing is cheap, fuel cheap, oils cheap, like everything about it's just a cheap motor, and it's a lot of fun, a lot of power, and reliable power too. I don't know many cars that can do 350,000 Ks with virtually no issues. It's been a really bulletproof thing. I can go up mountain ranges, just foot planted, towing a load, big trailer, and I wouldn't even glance at the temperature gauge. It's something that I never even think of doing. While with the diesel on my LN, the 2.8, just going down the highway, I'm like always looking at the thing like paranoid, ready for it to go Chernobyl on me, or ready for one of the gauges to spike or something crazy. So it's a breath of fresh air driving this thing, driving a petrol car, because you don't have to worry about the thing overheating. You just put your foot down and just go. You don't have to worry. I've got some diff breathers up here. I've got one hood strut because the other hood strut doesn't fit because the battery's in the way. So one just makes it easier to lift the bonnet anyway, so it's not as heavy. I prefer not to have the pole and just to have the two struts, but hey, win some, you lose some. It's got a K&N air filter in there. I'll be honest, they're not very good in the dust. I've heard a few things and I wanted to try it for myself. When we done the Cape trip, I actually had to run a pre-filter on the snorkel head. That worked really well, but it blocked up really fast. And if I wasn't running that, I would get dust on the clean side of the air intake. There would be a little bit of dust in there. So I recommend paper filters for any vehicle. If you're doing dusty sort of work, the K&N's are right for just normal touring and cruising around at 4bin. But if you're doing any big trips, I'd just use a paper one where you don't really need performance, you just want filtration. I've modified the radiator. Just made some brackets up to drop the radiator down 2 inches to suit the body lift. So the fan can still clear the shroud. That was all pretty cool. It's meant to have an engine cover over it. I just take it off because it's easier to wash. Winch controller, it's here. It actually was pretty sketchy. Last time we did Cape York, don't worry, it was only 3 years ago. I haven't got around to fixing it yet. It started to crack here because it was just wobbling off sheet metal. So I got a piece of foam and cable tied it there, and it's been like that for 3 years. I've got to get around to fixing that actually. I need to thought of that then. So, starting battery, deep cycle battery, it's a 90 amp hour, got a groovy battery tray cradle thing, don't know what brand it is, but it works. Little battery isolator thing to let it all charge, fuse panels, circuit breaker for the amplifier, circuit breaker for the canopy power. That's pretty much all that's in here. Headlights, they're actually not standard, they're just eBay cheapies. I ran some of those Halo ones, those eBay Halo ones with the two circly things. They look sick, they were cool. When you're on your P's, they look cool, but they were just crap. They were complete garbage. So eBay me, I was like, oh, I'll ditch the Chinese crap brand and I'll get another Chinese crap brand. And these are just eBay. They look good. They look like a genuine headlight, but the bulbs in the back, they just don't go in properly. Nothing lines up. The plastic's made of just brittle cheese. Like, they're just crap. So wouldn't recommend going eBay ones unless you're willing to put in the time to modify them and muck around with them and have the patience to get them to fit properly. That's actually one thing I forgot to mention. The bullbar bracket. The bullbar itself has been great. The actual bracket that came with it, the cradle, completely rusted out. Like, the point I was poking my finger through the metal, and I thought, oh, I didn't have to winch off it or anything at the time, because it would have just pulled straight out and I would have gone careening back down the hill. So I've actually made up a new winch cradle. If I can see it down there. I'll link some photos, but winch is just tucked down in there now, and it's way stronger than the original one. I over-engineered it. At least I got the confidence now to know that the winch is never going to pull out and the bull bar is never going to fall off or anything crazy. Snorkel, it's just an eBay one. Cost me $85. Bought it about 8 years ago. I think it hasn't even faded. Like, it hasn't even gone white. Super stoked with how it's gone. Like, yeah, money well spent. Come with a good template, like hose clamps, silicon putty pipes and elbows and things, and yeah, it's actually really good for $85. Can't complain with that. Well, I think that's the majority of the front part of the car from there, and the underbit. I reckon we're gonna get into the canopy. So over this side, nothing interesting. This is mainly just storage. Heaps of room under here. I got the snatch strap in that bag. Track things, they mainly use for leveling the car out. I've only had to use them once. drifter power pole thing, the light thingy that's meant to stay up there. eBay hot water shower. That thing's sick. It's so good. We did Cape York with it. It lasted 3 weeks out of the 4-week trip, which is pretty good for an eBay product. But the internals vibrated and like rattled loose and it fell apart. So I managed to fix it and braze it all up and strengthen everything. And yeah, the thing's awesome, mate. As long as I got gas, I got hot water, which is sick. I've designed this pump here too, so I can actually run a hose out into a creek, so I can pump water directly from the creek straight through the hot water system, and hot showers for as long as you want. As long as you got gas, you got hot water, which is sick. Fire extinguisher, recommend fitting one of those to any car. Come around the back. Me and the missus actually, we designed this and built up this basically storage unity thing. This is large enough just to slip a table in, which is good. Camp cooker sits up in here. Everything's got its place. It works out really well actually for just fluking it. Over here is where all the cool stuff is. So that's actually meant to stay up there. Try that again. So this is where all the cool stuff lives in here. Got basically, got pantry. That opens up into pantry. Heaps of room. These are just from Bunnings. This little storage thingies. They're all modular, so they all just fit in there really nice. Spot here just for the big boxes and whatever I want to chuck into there. Got some room down there. Usually put another cooker or some like tarps or sheets or ground sheets or sidewalls for the awning or whatever. Fridge. Awesome upright fridge. Super handy. The last fridge I had was on this drop down slide. It was a pain in the ass. Every time you dropped it out to here, it would take up your living space. Like this is where you're hiding underneath the awning if it's raining or whatever. You have the fridge down and you lose half the room. So I thought, oh, I'll get an upright fridge. Super handy, like can't fit as much stuff in it. But for most trips that we do, more than enough room. Like we lived out of this thing for 4 weeks. It was just that fridge. It was sick. And the best thing about it, you can have ice creams. Who can argue with that? 12 volt, pretty straightforward. Just a really basic panel I made. It's got some switches and bits and pieces. Switches here, so I can switch between Canopy power, the Ute and Canopy power, or just the Ute power. Got charging lights, water, more lights, the fridge, more charging. Heaps of stuff. I've got solar, a solar regulator up there. There's a 300 watt solar panel on the rooftop tent. That works really good. I actually just upgraded from, I think it was 120 watt. Yeah, I think it was 120 watt. Went to a 300. So now I've got more than enough charge to charge all 3 batteries that are in the car. Another battery, deep cycle one, just buried in there, just in a little marine battery box. There's a water outlet here, so if we want to cook or wash up or whatever, click a hose onto that, run the hose down here, and tuck it into that, fill up a pan. The table sort of sits here, we can wash up and clean and do whatever the hell we want to do, which is super handy. One thing over this side which I forgot to mention, I actually drilled some holes in here and puts a bit of air filter foam off a quad or whatever, so as I'm driving along it helps pressurize here and keep all the dust out. It's pretty damn good. I've had this cab under this Canopy for probably 5 years now, and I've never really cleaned in here, and it hasn't really got much dust in. The Canopy overall has been pretty good. It's a cheap one I just picked up. I bought it brand new, but it cracked in a heap of places, so I had to get these reinforcement plates welded up in every corner because the thing was just cracking and falling apart. It's just made a really thin crap Chinese aluminium. It does alright though, like for what I paid for it and how long it's lasted now, I got no complaints. It's all reinforced to suit the rooftop tent. It's all braced and things in all 4 corners and whatnot, so it's pretty strong now. Wouldn't be as strong as a proper commercial Canopy, but it does the job for me. I've had no issue with it besides those cracks. Rooftop tent, it's a drifter rooftop tent. I've had 4 rooftop tents now. The first one I actually got for free, just as a hand-me-down one. It was really good, but it was really heavy. It was about 100 kilos. It was just a simple fold-out sort of canvas one. Used that for a few years. It was great. Then I went to like one of those King's Quickie, just the pop-up ones. It worked pretty well, but on the first trip, which was a Cape York trip, it cracked and fell to pieces. So it only lasted 4 weeks. Got a credit, got my money back, bought another King's rooftop tent, just one of those fold-open tourer ones. It was awesome. Like me and the missus absolutely loved it. Like super comfy, heaps of room. The only thing I didn't like about it was a pain in the ass to pack up. Just to get up on the ute, I had to actually climb up on the roof because it was so high. Tuck it all in, throw the bag over it, run the zip around, and always get caught, and it was just a bit frustrating. So I thought, oh, I'll save up and I'll buy the Rooftop 10 I've always wanted, which is one of these drifter ones. It's pretty damn good. It's the first night in it wasn't very comfy, so upgraded the mattress. That was sweet. Now it's super comfy. I actually wired power up into it now, so now we can run an electric blanket. It's pretty soft. Bit of a far sort of jump from just laying in the dirt in a swag, but anyway, the things you do. Mounted the light bar just on the front, drilled into it. That's all good. Comes with roof racks. The solar panel, climb up, yeah. Solar panel, just literally Sikaflex it to the roof. Ran some wires just into the tent itself there. Yeah, it's pretty basic. Nothing super interesting there. Got a little handle thing here to help get down. Actually just cut this bit out here to fit the guard and just glued it, I've not glued it, bolted it up there. So it's a handle, so it's easier to get up. That worked really well actually. So the canopy itself, I bought an aftermarket shack-off system. Sounds a bit weird. Yeah, an aftermarket canopy lift-off system. It basically bolts into here, get the battery drill out and wind it off. Only takes about 15 minutes to actually lift the canopy off. There's a bolt, one in each corner. Over here, there's just my water supply. Just disconnect that. It's just a simple hose fitting from Bunnings. Nothing super high-tech about that one. Walk around here. Over this side, all there is just a connector for the light bar, connector for the battery, and then yeah, it just lifts off. And then I got a ute again. Throw the sides on it and happy days. Awning, King's awning. Can't have a four-wheel drive without a King's awning. Everyone knows that, it's common sense. I will one day actually upgrade it. I want to get a drifter one. This awning, that's the good thing about the King's awnings. Like you don't have to worry about it. The thing's like $85. It's ripped off the car 3 times, like completely ripped off the car, and then landed on the ground twice, and then on the roof the other time. Mainly because I didn't take it down, and it got windy, and I was just busy doing other things, not worrying about it, and it's actually ripped off the car. But at the end of the day, $85, it doesn't matter. It's not a $300 awning, you don't have to worry about it. Rear guards, just got a mate to fabricate those up. They work really well, nice and tidy. So I do a fair bit of towing with this car. That's actually kind of why I got the V6 too. I've got 2 trailer plugs. That way I don't need an adapter. Just rock up and whatever I want to tow, just hook it straight up. Makes my life a heap easier. So because this is an 05, it's actually had the earlier style rear diff housing in it, which had a very small set of rear wheel bearings in it. Like they were very thin. I'll put a photo to show you. These ones right here. So what I've done is I went to a 2012 rear diff housing. Looks exactly the same externally. You'd actually never know, but it's got slightly different axles in it and different wheel bearings. So that was a great upgrade because I actually had to replace the wheel bearings like nearly every year in the rear just because of the canopy weight and towing and whatever. And it was just a real pain in the ass to do. So that's done. Haven't had to worry about wheel bearings since I did that upgrade. It was super well worth it. So at the end of the last video, I got the LN106 to drive up that tree. I never actually tried it in this thing, but I don't think it's going to be as interesting, but actually might be more interesting. IFS, no reduction gears, 550 kilo tray, 8 canopy tray setup. Let's see if it drives up trees. It's not the cleanest, prettiest Hilux in the world, but it's taken me 9 years to get to where it is at the moment. Bought the thing outright and just been doing little bit by little bit, just chipping away at it over the years, and like I absolutely love the thing. I don't think I could ever sell it. Funny enough, actually met my wife through this car. I probably would never have met her if I didn't have this ute, so I owe a lot to it. Our first date was actually in this ute at Glasshouse Mountains. It was epic. We done mud mile. I hate mud, but for some reason we done mud mile and a heap of other hills, and it was just a really good day out. Luxy, world's best wingman, and it's just been an awesome thing. Hasn't really let me down, and it's built to the stage now where if I want to go anywhere in Australia, I seriously just turn the key, fill it with fuel, put food in the fridge, and we're gone, off on an adventure. So that's one of the things I love about it. It's keys to my freedom. Thanks heaps for watching. I really appreciate it, guys. You guys are the ones who made it to the end of the video. Let me know if you want me to talk about anything else, run through anything else. I got some pretty cool ideas. I got this, got a track I'm going to take the LN hopefully next week, and I'm going to do something that I don't know if anyone has actually ever done before. Stay tuned, subscribe, like, all those things. I appreciate you guys following along. Every time someone subscribes, I get like a little notification, and it's a pretty cool feeling. So thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time.